Hi, Mary Ellen.
Yes, good morning again, and thank you all for joining us. We may have more join us, and that would be wonderful. We'll just add them in as they show up. Just before we get started, there is something that Kitty Madden and I wanted to share with you. Kitty sent it out this morning, and it moved me to the point where I thought, well, why don't we just start our session with it? And I'm now looking for it and I can't find it. So hold on just a second. Okay, I'll be there in a second here.
It was in the Daily Good. I don't know if it's
I found it.
that.
I found it.
Okay.
Here's here it is. Okay. I want to read you a little bit, tiny bit of a description of what it is that we're about to see. This is a vocal artist named Mariana Sadowska, who wrote and performs a song called "The Night Is Just Beginning." It's about a 9-minute video clip. I'm only going to show the first 3.5 or 4 minutes of it. It says that she traveled along the front lines of the first invasion of the Donbass region in eastern Ukraine in 2014 to 16, when there was the initial invasion. She was giving benefit concerts and meeting people in this war-ravaged area. Based on her journey, she created a unique musical story, which she called "The Night Is Just Beginning," that is all too relevant today. It is a song written for and about refugees and gives us just a glimpse of what it might feel like to be a refugee. So I'm going to start it now.
Take only what is most important. Take only what is most important. Take the letters. Take only what you can carry. Take the icons. Take the wooden crucifix. Take some bread. Take the vegetables from the garden, then leave. We will never see our cities again. We will never drink from that dry well again. We will never see familiar faces again. We are refugees. We will run all night. Що я в батька, дай на льот ході, що я... Take only what is most important. Take the letters. Take only what you can carry. Візьми рушники та ікони, візьми срібні ножі, візьми дерев'яні розп'яття, золочені муляжі, візьми хліб і городину, потім іди. Рости, рости.
Let's just take a moment with that. I know I said I'd just play about 3 minutes or so, but I didn't want to stop her.
Mhm.
And like I said, Kitty, thank you so much, Kitty. Kitty sent that to the LACC Google group this morning. So you can pull it up and click on it, and it's about a 9-minute video, I think. Okay. So I think Mary Jean is going to take the reins here and introduce our speakers for this morning.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Sally. I told Sally earlier that I would find something from Reverend Barber, and then news blew up everywhere in the US, and I thought, yes. And together, we're going to focus this morning on our US border with our asylum seekers. And this morning, we're welcoming Bob, Dora, and Paulina. And they were with us in Washington, and they're back at work at the border. And so this morning, we'll begin with Bob. We'll concentrate on Arizona and then go to Tijuana with Paulina. So Bob, you want to begin?
Sure, I will. Before I start, it's so nice to see this, so many people that I actually got to meet for the first time. So how wonderful. And thank you all again for, what was a very special experience for me. So thank you all again so very, very much. What a great pleasure it was to hang out with so many of you. So, but now we're back to the border. It's hot and raining here. So the monsoons are here. So Wednesday, I was scheduled to go out with a filmmaker and his assistant, and last minute they canceled on me. So which happens. So I wanted to get out to the desert because I miss being out there so much. So I just got in my own car and I drove down 286 towards Sasabe. Stopped at several locations along the way just to check on things. And then I turned onto Aravaca Road and headed towards Aravaca. And about 3 miles west of there is a wildlife refuge parking area, trails to walk. So I parked in there and I walked several trails, some that I hadn't walked and discovered new ones. So I spent a lot of time in there walking trails because migrants pass through there to our water drops. And so I wanted to see what the traffic was like. Very hot day, no encounters, lots of deer, but I did not see any people. So I returned back through 286, very quiet day. And then I was out again yesterday. Yesterday was a longer day. Met with a friend of mine who came up from Keno. She's from Albuquerque. And she's a trauma therapist, and she works with the people in the shelter at the Comodoro. And she's interested in meeting your friends, Mary Jean, when she goes back to Albuquerque. So I'll set that up with her. So we went out. We drove down through this area called Warsaw Canyon, which extends to the border. We got onto the road. We drove to the end of the wall. We drove back west towards Fresnel Peak. And it was so strange because we saw nothing. And that's not normal. I mean, we just didn't see anything. No border patrol. there was a helicopter that hovered above us for quite a while. So I drove to a open area so they could really get a good look at us, because they have cameras on the bottoms of the helicopters, and they, get your license plate and all of that. So they hung out for a while and then they took off. Then we didn't see them after that. So then we drove back to the end of the wall again. Nothing, we saw nobody on the other side as well. It was kind of eerie. And then we drove back up into the Warsaw Canyon. We did run into a rancher that I see out there often. He's always very friendly with me. He's a big wall supporter, but so we always check in, to see, if we run into people. And he said, he hadn't seen anybody that day, and we hadn't either. So we drove up, stopped, have some lunch. And then there was a trail that I wanted to walk because of a migrant that I had run into a couple weeks prior, told us of this trail. And so we found the trail, and we hadn't walked it. So we went up, and we were standing at the top of the trail, debating, because the clouds were coming in, we could hear the thunder, and we were debating, do we get down in there and walk? So we wait. After about 5 minutes or so, we said, no, let's go. We put on our backpacks, grabbed some gallons, and started walking down the hill. And the whole time, this helicopter, I don't know if it was the same one, but it looked very similar, was hovering around in that area, which usually is an indication that they're looking for someone or they have someone in sight. But it was really hard to tell. And there were no Border Patrol agents at all. So we thought, are they checking on us again, or what's going on? So we walked down, because it drops down about 200 feet into this canyon. So we got down just into the canyon, and then all of a sudden, there were Border Patrol agents everywhere, coming from behind us, coming from the sides. And it's like, were they after us? And then all of a sudden, migrants everywhere. So people were chasing. We're in the middle, literally in the middle of this apprehension that was going on. And migrants just scattered everywhere. And agents were scattered. There must have been 7 or 8 agents. And we learned that there were 7 migrants that they were chasing. So in the end, we just moved closer and closer so we could see this interaction, because we wanted to be witness to what was going on. I've never experienced this before. I've encountered Border Patrol and migrants on the side of the road, but never in the middle of an actual apprehension. So we made sure that we were witness to everything that was going on, make sure that they weren't abusing anybody, and that did not happen. And they were able to apprehend 2 initially, took them up on the side of the hill. I actually went up, talked to the agent. I said, look, we got water and food. I said, if they need anything. And he said, no. He said, they've got water. I said, okay. So we came back down, not wanting to interfere with what was going on. So eventually they got 2 more guys that they brought back. And, the migrants looked at us, and we just kind of, wanted to let them know we're not with the Border Patrol. So, and we got to thinking, fortunately, we delayed our going down into the canyon, because had we been down there, we may have encountered these guys and started interacting with them, and then Border Patrol would have shown up, and I would have felt horrible had that happened. But so we stayed around for a while, and then eventually the helicopter took off, and agents started to disperse. So the last 3 guys they never did get. So, hopefully they did get away, but still thinking about, because everything happened so fast, and it was very, very strange. But, we interacted with the agents, because I wanted, and the one agent said, why don't you leave the water that you have here and some food packs if you have them? He said, because if we get the other guys, we want to make sure that they have adequate water. And I said, okay. So we did. But it was very, very surreal. And it was actually, it was really very sad to see, to be in the middle of this whole experience. And then we drove on and looked for some more. We did not see anybody, but we got a lot of rain. So it was a very interesting day, to say the least. So we're going back next week. We're going to walk this trail because we know it's active.
Bob, tell them about the Agua Prieta Douglas thing. that you-
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Quick.
Pardon?
Just,
So I haven't been there since May, but the Agua Prieta Resource Center it's very unique experiences. They come in, within 10 minutes, most of the time they're gone. They get information. They're on the phone with the guides and they disperse, quickly. And of course, try multiple times, crossing again. And I did see an article.
Yeah.
I guess recently there have been two people shot in that area, down around in Douglas area, and really sketchy, incidences. So,
Bob, 2 migrants?
yeah, 2 migrants. Yeah,
and the one that was stabbed, right?
yeah, one was stabbed. Yeah, which is kind of odd. I'd never heard of an agent stabbing a migrant before, but so and then I happened to be on a Zoom call this week with a Jen Budd, who was a former Border Patrol agent, and she talked about things that went on in the agency. She was a victim of sexual violence when she was in the Border Patrol, and just talking about the secrecy and the kind of the code of conduct that goes on within the Border Patrol. It's like a good old boys club. And for her, it was, rather horrible experiences on many occasions.
And she wrote that book, right?
Yeah, the book just came out. So, but yeah, she really spelled things out. She's been a whistleblower for years. But, which takes a lot of courage to speak out against these folks. But I do want to end it on a really positive note.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Rox.
Bob, refresh our memory on this location, Agua Prieta
Agua Prieta, it's right across from Douglas, Arizona.
from Douglas. Okay.
Yeah, it's the border city.
That's
And
where-
when you were hiking, how long as you went into this canyon? Give us a sense of how the time frame. Yeah.
Well, we probably dropped down. It took us maybe 5 to 10 minutes to get down into the canyon where we kind of leveled.
And so
out.
that was from your car?
No, we were in a Samaritan vehicle because it's in the really remote area. I mean,
Yeah, I just wanted a sense of how far you traveled that day on foot. How many hours or?
Just on foot, it was very short. We just got down into
Okay.
the canyon when all of this happened. Yeah.
And is there a chance of flash flooding?
Oh yeah. So when the rains did start to come, we were out of there. And that's why we were so apprehensive about starting the hike. Fortunately, it didn't start to rain there, but we did run into rain later in several areas. But we got out of there safe and no issues.
Just
So go ahead.
review, Agua Prieta and Douglas is where Sister Judy
Yeah,
works.
Yeah.
Just so we know.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to ask, what is that shelter like there?
Well, they actually, so there's a resource center where I volunteer, and there is a shelter there, and they're run by the same gentleman, and Dora probably knows. I cannot remember the group that runs. I think it's a Methodist group that runs the
Yeah.
shelter and the resource center. But they have volunteers that come from all over. And actually, when we were in DC in front of the church, I talked to the Franciscan about Brother David, who's one of the Franciscans down there in Elfrida. So I said, no, there's a presence down at the southern border as well. So that was really great. But they get a lot of volunteers from the U.S., different groups, and the Franciscans are a presence there, consistently at the resource center. So that's really great. But they're always busy, always busy.
And your positive note?
So Monday morning, I get a message, and it's saying, thank you so much, Senor Roberto Yabe from, he said, this is Armando. He said, you met me in the desert and you worked on my feet. And I just wanted to let you know and send you many blessings. He said, I'm here in New Jersey.
Great.
So, which is really interesting. So I messaged him. I said, I got your message. I said, just contact me again whenever you want. So I was really happy to see that.
Sally?
Yeah, I just want to add a piece of information that relates to Bob telling us that these people, these migrants were shot and stabbed. Did I get that right, Bob?
Yeah, one was shot, one was stabbed. Yeah.
By Border Patrol agents?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want us all to know that earlier this month, the Supreme Court, our stellar Supreme Court, issued a ruling giving federal law enforcement sweeping immunity from lawsuits.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you are. Now, they're not immune from criminal prosecution, but how often have we ever seen that happen?
Yeah.
But they may not be sued individually for their egregious behavior toward anybody, I guess, toward migrants or anyone. Bob, if they roughed you up, you would have no recourse.
No.
Except Loretto.
There you go.
We fight like hell for you. Okay, let's go on to Dora. Okay,
Okay, I'm sorry, I just got distracted. Yeah, good morning, everyone. And really, like Bob said, we're so appreciative for the opportunity to have the experience, with all of you and the ones that were not even present, because we can feel their spirit, and then the fight. And I am just so, when I talked about the Loretto group of women, I just go like, would be feathers, like this pecan that goes open big, because I said, I can't believe I went with an amazing group of women who have been fighting for so long, even before I came, and it's just amazing. And thank you for all that you do, really, because we bring their stories and what are we doing every single day in our borders, but you give us the space, and that is very, very important for us, because to me it's like being that voice of the voiceless, and those big spaces. So thank you. Like Bob said, we came back, we got busy. There is no more vacation, there is no play around. I was in our center on Wednesday, and we're the embroidery group of women with some filmmakers, and we were busy all day. The things that have been changing in the area of Sassave, Sonora, west of Tucson, Arizona. It's about an hour and a half drive. And as some of you know, that is that remote area where we've been serving. We were serving our migrants and asylum seekers and people coming north. 2 months ago, we still were serving people that were expelled because of Title 42 in those areas. It has changed. We have no more deportations in that area for about almost 2 months. But we're now seeing more people that need our service. They are in the houses of the smugglers. It's really sad to say, because when I was there Wednesday, I witnessed and I observed a lot of movement with the smugglers, a lot of movement in that little town. And that small town is like 2,500 people, locals that live there. And they love their town. They're happy in their little town. They never had, thank goodness, any violence in there, among the cartels. But right now they are nervous because there's new groups coming in. And what I observed was that while we were at the center, a lot of big trucks, like nice, brand new trucks moving back and forth in the main road where we have our center, and with the very black tinted windows, and they just running fast, back and forth. And I asked the local women, what do you feel? I mean, are you scared? Should we keep going with the center? And they're like, 100%. We're not gonna stop this. This is good, because it's not only a migrant center, but also a community, and it serves the community. So that gave me some peace. And now the organized crime, they have their merchandise, which is so sad to say, but that's what they are. Our asylum seekers and migrants is money for them. So they have them hiding in their houses, and they let them out if they're really sick, or they don't have a clothing, or they need a pair of shoes. So they send it to us, which I am so thankful we are there for that. But just the night before, which was Tuesday, so I was wondering, Bob, if the group of people you saw, it was a little bit left over of the large group that was apprehended, because Tuesday night there were 100 people apprehended in that area.
I saw that.
Yeah, so it could be.
Yeah.
And Wednesday, as we were driving, we observed 4 migrants running from one side of the road to the other side of the road. So I drove fast to try to catch up on them and offer them some, water and all, but they were gone. They were going fast. And then on the way back, our Gail, our women who work with us, who is a Samaritan, on the way back, they went by the border wall and they found one migrant and provided him with some resources, with some water and clothing and socks and food. So we are busy, regardless of no deportations to our center. We're taking care of people coming north, which I am so thankful that we are there. But our experience with all of you has enriched my soul personally, because I feel that I am not alone in this. This at times can be overwhelming, as Bob knows. We cry together and we share our stories, but it's more so the people that's going through that, at this moment. And the happy note, I'm going to end up with a happy note. I had a family too that I was assisting in Nogales, and I was sharing with Bob in our trip that I was so devastated because I couldn't find a shelter for this family of 5, the 3 little ones, mom and dad from Guerrero, Mexico, who, while I was in DC with you guys, they keep texting me because he was sleeping at the park with his family. But yesterday, we were able to get him into a beautiful place. A sister, Lika is the name of a sister who runs a beautiful shelter in Nogales, Sonora. And she is busy, but her place is a sanctuary for our people. So they are there. And then he sent me a picture yesterday with the kids running around. And of course, the thank you message, and those are the things that keep us going. Because when it's a really gloomy, sad day, you get those stories and it's like, okay, it's a reason why we're here. But thank you, really. Thank you. And I can't wait until next time we are together again.
Yeah, okay, Dora, I think Rox has a question for you.
Okay.
Rox.
Hi, Rox.
Good morning.
Good morning.
When you mentioned that you haven't had deportation, so just elaborate on that. Are those people that have been deported and then coming back across the border? What do you mean by that?
Well, with Title 42, what that means is a rapid expulsion. So whoever was apprehended in that area within less than an hour were sent back to the area of Sassavez, Sonora, where
Thank you.
yeah. And there's no
And when you talk about these scary black vehicles, so they're actually crossing the border in and out?
they are the guys, the smugglers, coyotes, all those fancy names they have. So
Yeah.
they do have a lot of people in that small town.
And they have no trouble, going through the checkpoints or whatever?
No, they cross them in the openings of the border wall. You know, we have a 23 mile, a border wall with 21 gaps.
Uh-huh.
But
And they
away-
just,
so they bring their people to that area, and especially unaccompanied minors. They put them right there by the border and said somebody will find you. And so it's human trafficking, 100%. So what we
Right.
see is what it has changed in that very small town is the environment, of other groups of smugglers coming into the town, and it's bringing some fear for the local people, because God forbid they get in a fight with a different group, and they, it's something, yeah. But well, it's not stopping us from providing our services. Today, the medical team is in Sasabe, Sonora. It's a retired group of doctors and nurses, and they're amazing. And Bob is part of that team. And they just left at 8 in the morning to provide free clinic to our local people and migrants. And I am leaving at 1 o'clock because I had the meeting. So I said, I'm catching up at 1 o'clock. So we got to keep going. But thank you so much for this space, ladies. You guys, each of you are amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Dora. And sí se puede, ¿no?
Sí se puede.
We just keep going con Loretto and con all the other good people that are around. Okay.
Mary Jean,
Yeah.
I want to show
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
what Dora brought to each of us in DC. Can y'all see that?
Lovely.
Isn't that beautiful?
Do you
Yes.
have the manta, Sally?
Yes, and inside, and they're all unique. Each one is unique, and Dora can tell us about the women who made these. And inside each one
No.
was a unique manta.
Lovely.
Oh.
Isn't that beautiful?
Mine
Yes.
has, Dora, mine has already had tortillas in it. And my kids said, Mama, where did you get this? And I said, I made it. No, Dora, I did not say that. I said, very good friend works at the shelter. And she said, oh, I want one.
It's beautiful, and that's what is happening. The bags have been made in Sasabe, Sonora by the local women, and they are so proud of their work, and it's bringing them some revenue because we sell them in the States. And the mantas, the piece of cloth, and it's a piece of art, is made in the remote area of San Marcos, Guatemala, with our indigenous family. So. And this one was made in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay. Carolyn, you have a question.
No, just wanted to thank Dora and Bob both. And Dora keeps saying what an inspiration Loretto is. And I just wanted to say back to her what an inspiration all of the border workers are, and how wonderful it was to meet Dora and Bob. And I love their t-shirt and the hat. And so glad and looking forward to hearing what Pauline has to say. But
Okay,
they are our inspiration.
okay. Paulina, you're up, girl.
Hi, everybody. I'm also super happy to see everyone again. I came back very inspired from this trip. It was definitely a big learning experience, but I think the best things was putting a face or seeing face to face all of you who we've been talking on Zoom, but it's different to get to talk in person. And I was very inspired by meeting Dora and Bob and sharing spaces with them. And they're my heroes, everything you do and your work. I was very inspired. And also meeting all the Loretto community and just learning, hearing all the stories about how you were fighting for many years, even just with Mary Jean on the plane, hearing all the stories from Cesar Chavez. I was just like, wow, felt very lucky to have all of you as role models, and very inspired and motivated to continue doing this work. So thank you so much. And well, in the shelter right now, we have about 34 people, 9 children. All of them are Haitian, except for a Salvadorian couple who arrived a few weeks ago. And the issue right now is that nobody has been able to cross for months. However, we see that in a few shelters, there's people who are being able to cross through Title 42 exemptions. So we started asking around, how can we do that too? And it seems that CBP made an agreement with a few shelters, like 4 shelters, who are being able to cross people every day. And that's a positive thing. However, nobody from our shelter has been able to cross. And in May, we were able to visit different shelters because we had a group of immigration attorneys and law students from New Jersey come. So we went to different shelters, and we saw that some shelters have Haitian population, but they're suffering discrimination. For example, in one of the big shelters, the Haitian families share that usually Central American and Mexicans got preference in the beds, and Haitians had to sleep on the floor, or Haitians didn't have access to the kitchen. So we know that discrimination is even happening in these spaces. And the fact that only a few shelters are being able to cross leaves out a lot of people, especially Haitian and African community. And also the fact that most migrants don't live in shelters because the migrant population is so big. There's about almost 30 shelters in Tijuana, but also there's thousands of people who are renting rooms and living in hotel rooms or in, sharing apartments. And this is the work that our community organizers do. So we're already trying to see like how they were able to get this agreement with CBP, if this is something that could be extended to other shelters, but we really don't know how to do it. We spoke with El Otro Lado and they gave us a contact. So hopefully we can reach out to them. However, we know that this is what happens when the process isn't equal for everybody, and when the government leaves it up to civil society. Civil society shelters are doing the best we can, but we don't have capacity to make sure that everyone gets a chance. And so we have people in some shelters who have been for months or since last year waiting, and then other people who are arriving and are crossing immediately. So it's not a fair process. And like I said, especially Black migrants are being excluded from this. The other issue that I share with some of you while we were actually in the march is that we found out about arbitrary detentions that are happening in Mexican territory. So this is with asylum seekers who are traveling from Tapachula to Tijuana. There's an African woman from Togo. She was traveling with a group of Africans. They had a humanitarian visa from Mexico, and they were stopped in a checkpoint between Sonora and Baja California. So between San Luis and Mexicali. They had documents. They share that in different checkpoints, only Black people were stopped and asked for their documents. And so in this checkpoint, all migrants, including Hondurans as well, were taken to a detention center. We started immediately calling attorneys that we know in Mexico, organizations. And of course, another thing is that Mexican immigration officers asked them for $700 each to release them. So we know that that's corruption. Of course, when one of the attorneys was able to talk to the INAMI delegate, so the head of INAMI in Baja, they had a different story. They said, oh, it's actually immigration attorneys are charging them that money. But we know that that's the way immigration operates. So they tell migrants, you're going to be detained for a long time, and the only way you can get out is through an attorney. And I can get you that attorney, give me the money, but we know that it's a way that they do it to cover up that they're asking migrants for money. Another thing that they said is that, oh, we detained them because they were trying to cross the border through the desert in Mexicali. But from the testimonies we had, that is not true. They had a ticket all the way to Tijuana, and they got stopped and taken down from the bus. But these are the excuses or the official speech that immigration uses. That they say, oh, you know, we had to stop them because they were crossing through the desert and the temperatures are so high that the language they use is that they are rescuing migrants. But we know that in reality, that's not true. We thought they were going to be released after a lot of people talked to them, but they were actually released in Tabasco. So that's a state in the south of Mexico. So they were released back in the southern border. And that was really outrageous. This woman from Togo, Elike is her name, she said that an immigration agent signed a document for her. So she didn't even sign, the agent forged her signature, and she was released in Tabasco without her documents. So it's a lot of violations that we documented. And as we were trying to research what was going on, we saw that it's not the only one. We found that there's other Africans who are in detention who had the same exact story. And the next day we got a call from a Colombian family, and it was almost the same story. They had a tourist visa for Mexico. So they were also passing through the same checkpoint. They were stopped, and now they were released in Tabasco without their documents. The INAMI agents signed for them. So we're trying to, well, the first thing we're trying to do is to support this woman to get back her document, because it should be in the immigration system that she has a humanitarian visa. So now she moved to Tapachula, from Tabasco to Tapachula, because she knows Tapachula a little better. And we connected her with an organization there. And we're trying to document all these cases. The difficult part is that people are scared to speak up. For example, this woman, she doesn't want to file a complaint. She doesn't want to do anything because she's scared of, how do you say it? When, the word, like represalias. Like when you do something, they're gonna, I forget the word.
Retaliation.
Retaliation, yeah, exactly. So people are afraid, and that's the difficult part. But we're trying to see if we can release a statement or do a public action. But we also want to respect what the people affected want to do. So I think the first thing is trying to get them back in Tijuana, trying to get their documents, and then we're gonna see what we can do to make this visible. So that's the situation right now. Also trying to end in a more positive note. Monday was International Refugee Day. So this afternoon we're having a community event at the shelter. Hopefully Mary Jean can join us. We're gonna have Haitian food, a group of clowns who they are called Emergency Circus, and they've been to Tijuana a few times. They do like performances in different shelters, so they're gonna be there. We have a cumbia and salsa group from Southwestern College in San Diego. So we're gonna have music, food, and just sharing with community. And we always say that that's our way of resisting in front of all these unfair policies. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that we have a food justice campaign right now. So with all the Loretto help, the biggest program that we've been able to have is the food justice program. And this is giving migrant families food cards. Is similar to like a gift card that they can use at the supermarket. And we think this is a good system because it lets people choose prioritize what they need. And we have very diverse communities, African community, Haitian community. So when we try to give them food, it's good, but some people have different cultural needs. So this way people can choose what they need, or if it's diapers or formula or medicine. And through Loretto, we've been able to get, I think last year we almost got 500 of these. So now we have a crowdfunding campaign that I'm gonna share the link in the chat. And it's all the way through June 30th. And the good thing is that if we're able to raise, to reach our goal, this platform, I guess, gives us, matches some of the funds that we're able to raise. I don't know if I have time to show like a short video of Josiane talking about this. It's like 35 seconds.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Josiane Winker. I'm Africa Community Organizer in Estación Gigante. I want to invite you today to help us to provide nutritious and culturally appropriate food for migrant families. There is no small donation. Everything can help us to achieve and goal for good justice. Please share and click this line to donate today. Thank you very much for your help.
Thanks, Paulina. I love her.
Yeah. Josiane, okay, one other thing, and then we'll go to Sally's question. Paulina, tell why you call it food justice.
So this started during the pandemic. We saw that migrants who used to come to our center for Spanish classes or for legal services were struggling they lost their jobs. Many people lost their jobs. It hit the migrant community stronger. So now they were coming to us for food. And we were there to support them with the resources we were able to raise. But I was sharing with Mary Jean, we wanna say it's food justice because we believe food is a right. We want to step away from the idea of charity, but always emphasize that people should have access to nutritious food. Children should have access to nutritious food. And we always try to, every time we bring food, we also bring information. So we try to combine it with know your rights or with different community meetings where we're also listening to the community. So I was sharing with Mary Jean that that's why we have this focus on food justice. It's an idea that we're still learning about, but we want to emphasize the fact that it's a right that families should have.
Food. Okay, Sally, and then Rox. And anybody else? I don't know.
Okay, thanks, Mary Jean. Paulina, as I was listening to you, I had two thoughts. The first one was when you spoke about the Black women who have been unjustly detained and they're being extorted, $700 per person. It's just so outrageous. It made me think about the contact that Dora apparently has with a New York Times reporter. And I wonder if that person could be appealed to get some publicity for what's happening. That's my first thought. My second thought is, just a minute. Oh, I know. Last month, I think it was, on Immigration Spotlight, we had a woman whose name was Felicia.
Yeah, from Reynosa.
From Reynosa, talk about the Title 42 exemption process. And she spoke of it as something that they are heavily involved with. It's kind of, I got the impression, relatively easy to do. And she and her staff are being quite successful in getting exemptions granted and getting people across the border. I'm wondering if you're looking for someone who can help you understand, here's how we're doing it, and it's being quite successful, we could put you in touch with her.
Thank you, Sally. I think definitely if Dora can help us with the New York Times contact, I think these things even aren't known in Mexico. So we want to make it visible what is happening. The only hard part is that the woman doesn't want to share her story right now, but we still, first we want to get her to a safe place, and then we'll talk to her because we don't need to share her name or her specific story, but just denounce what is happening. I think is definitely important. And about Title 42 exemption, So we know it would be great to connect with her. We know how it works. I was speaking with Nicole from Al Otro Lado, and Al Otro Lado gets 35 places or 35 people daily, but they're also taking people from Haitian Bridge Alliance and from different attorneys, and they're basing it from the questionnaire that people fill out, but they're so backed up that they're still with people from May of last year. So they're really backed up. And the other process was through Border Angels. And they chose like 3 or 4 shelters. So I think each shelter has 35 people who are crossing, which is a great thing. But however, it didn't include our shelter or many other shelters. So it's only 3 or 4 shelters that are having this opportunity to cross. So we, Al Otro Lado gave us the contact of somebody from CBP to see if we can also speak to them and be included. But even if we're included, I feel like so many people are left out. So it's still, but I mean, yes, we're gonna try to see if we can contact them and see if they can give us a few spaces. The one thing that Al Otro Lado said is that if we have a very urgent medical case, they would be able to place it on that list. So those are the few cases that we've been able to get across through Al Otro Lado. And I also asked her, what about these cases of Africans or other people who are being detained when they're able to come back? Could we place them in this process? She said yes, because if they're afraid of retaliation, and especially if they do participate like in a press conference or something, we would prioritize them so they're not so much at risk. So there is a few space with Al Otro Lado, but it's very few places. We have only, I think this year, only maybe 2 medical cases have been able to cross, but all the other people, all our families right now are Haitian, and they're just stuck with no possibility to cross right now.
What's your question?
Dora?
Sally?
No, I'm done.
Oh,
Dora?
I just had a comment in for Paulina. Of course, it's the food program. I think more so is more bringing dignity back and empowering the families to go to the store and buy their own food and, meet their needs. So bravo to you, Paulina. It's an amazing program. And I will share with you the contact with the women, and she lives in Los Angeles for the New York Times. And I think, like Mary Jean was saying, it really, if they can talk to the ladies, because we all understand the retaliation or the fear. I mean, it have to be so hard for them, but it is good to put the whole context of what's going on. And I also gonna share with you a reporter from Mexico City who's always on top of these stories. And yes, we need to put this, to me, it's like this crackers, cucarachas. How do you say, Bob, that word? Put them in the flashlight. This is what you're doing. The world
roaches, mijita.
The world needs to know what you're doing. And we now know, so it is to do that. But yeah, thank you, Paulina. You're amazing.
You're amazing, Dora.
Okay, Mary Jean, you're muted. Are you speaking to us or to your dog?
I was speaking to my dog.
Oh, okay.
And, but I wonder, are there any other questions that people might have for Bob? I see Bob. Okay.
Yeah. Dora and Paulina, thank you so much. Thank you, Paulina. What a pleasure it was to meet you. And I'm so looking forward to coming down to when you do the installation. I'm going to reach out to Jason, and I would love for him to come down there as well, because he's in LA. So maybe we can arrange to have Jason come down and be in that space too. So But I did want to have I had a comment. Just, so next Saturday, we're celebrating Flood the Desert here in Tucson and Southern Arizona. The 20 years the Samaritans will, since they were founded in 2002. And there's gonna be a lot of Samaritans. Green Valley Sams are gonna participate. So we'll have a lot of people in the desert, and the vigilantes are starting to come already. Yeah, they're gonna be a presence out here. So we'll definitely have something for next month to, let you know what transpires out there next week.
All right.
Okay, any other questions? I think we're out of time, but if there's any other questions or comments, we could take a couple. Connie.
I just want to ask Bob about the sort of like, are there some sort of unspoken boundaries between you and the vigilante people? It's a crazy dance, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't know if they can be really harassing. I know, Dora's been harassed, other as well. Fortunately, I have not, I haven't had that experience, but they can be aggressive at times, very aggressive.
but are you speaking verbally, or they threaten you with arms? I mean,
never-
talk about something that
a lot
needs
of verbal,
spotlight on it.
yeah, a lot of verbal stuff that's going on with them. But the people that face the issues with the arms are the migrants. I mean, they post videos of showing them out in the desert coming across migrants, and they're armed. These folks are armed. I just fear that there's going to be a day when somebody gets killed. If that has not already happened, I fear that. I always have this thought in my head that I think some of these folks have killed people, and they're just never found. But yeah, they're very aggressive at times. Yeah, and Dora can definitely speak to that as well. And actually, I understand now that they're crossing into Mexico as well.
Whoa.
Which is going to be dangerous for them, because the cartels do not mess around.
That's another whole story for the press.
That's a whole different story.
It is.
Yeah.
And Bob, haven't you been called a white suprematist or something?
White supremacist, yeah. But that was not by the vigilantes.
But by other groups.
Other groups.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions before we? Okay. Thank you all, and especially Bob, Dora, and Paulina for your work and constant vigilance for all of us. And there's so many awful things happening in our country. And this morning I wrote something that Reverend Barber said about how important it is for all of us to speak the truth. And I wrote it all out, left it out on my deck, and Carolyn's dog ate the whole thing. I mean, it off and just chewed the paper. But the one thing that I remembered that he said is, we need to continue to be the remnant that, it says truth to lies, and we can't down, and we are the remnant, and we have to be happy that this is the day the Lord has made. So,
One more expression of gratitude I'd like to add is gratitude to Loretto Link for helping to underwrite the travel expenses so that Bob and Paulina and Dora could accompany us to Washington, D.C. So thank you, Loretto Link.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all. And we'll be in touch. We'll let you know